Bradford City begin their 2025-26 FA Cup campaign with an away clash against Steve Cotterill's Cheltenham Town, and in today's video you're going to find out how both teams have gotten so far this season, what my starting 11 would be for this game if I was Graham Alexander. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, then don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. But my team Bradford City, we currently sit second in the League 1 table. After 14 matches we've got 7 wins, 6 draws and 1 defeat. We have lost the least amount of games in the entire division, but we've also drawn the joint most. We've scored 23 goals, which again is still the highest in the division, but we have also conceded 16, which is the most in the entire top 8. That leaves us on a positive 7 goal difference and at 27 points. Our last couple of matches then have been a draw, and a win, so we haven't actually won in the league in well over a month. Our last match was on Tuesday, a rearranged fixture which saw us pick up a 0-0 draw at home to Lincoln City. First half they were probably the better side, second half we were probably the better side, and in the end I do think a point probably was a fair result, but again very frustrating to have gone 4 league games on the bounce with a draw. We also had a 1-1 draw away at Stevenage. Again, first half they were the better side, second half we were comfortably the better side as well, but we had 8 first team players out injured, and 7 of those are certainly starters for Bradford City. For this one, we're the first team to go away to the Lamex and take away any points all campaign, and only actually the second team to score there all season, but a game certainly ruined by the referee. We also had a 2-2 draw at home to Barnsley. Again, another game which we should have won. It could have been 6 or 7 for us. They could have had another goal or 2 as well. Obviously, Reyes Cleary scoring from about 70 yards out, well inside his own half, and again, disappointing to go ahead twice and be pegged back twice. I couldn't tell you the last time that Bradford City went 2 home games in the league without picking up a win. Before that one then, we had a 5-1 win at home to Everton's under-21s in the EFL Trophy. As always with this competition, you do expect to be beating these type of teams, although they did have a few first team players, the likes of Dwight McNeil, Nathan Patterson, getting some minutes in that one, but it was 4-0 before half-time and pretty comfortable in the end. And then just before that one, we had a 2-2 draw away at Rotherham United. To be 2-0 down away from home, get a point and still be disappointed goes to show how we did play in this one. Obviously, massively missed max power in a game like this, and again, more frustration really. Our last league win was at home to Blackpool, which feels like a long time ago, and the fact that we're still second in the table goes to show that this league, it's really there for the taking this season. Compared though to at Cheltenham Town, they couldn't sit 20th in the League 2 table. After 14 matches, they've got 4 wins, 2 draws and 8 defeats, scoring 10 goals, which I think is the lowest amount in the entire division, and they have also conceded 25, which is the joint most as well with Bristol Rovers in the entire division. It leaves them on a minus 15 goal difference, again the worst in League 2, and at 14 points. But their last couple of matches then have been a win, a draw, a win and a loss. So since Steve Cotterill's gone in there, he's really turned things around, did a very good job the last time he was Cheltenham gaffer, and he's a manager that I think does really well at these smaller type of clubs. In terms of them last couple of matches then, on Tuesday they had a 2-2 draw at home to Tottenham Hotspur's under-21s, where they did actually win that game 3-1 on penalties. Looking at how their EFL Trophy campaign has gone, they certainly can't qualify. They've played all of their games and they have now been knocked out of that competition, but good, I guess, to win on penalties having conceded so late on. Before that one then, they had a 1-0 win at home to Walsall. Again, I saw this goal, Aidan Flynn own goal, and it was just the most unfortunate own goal that you could ever concede, in all honesty. Since I made my video talking about maybe I'm wrong about Walsall, maybe they're going up this season, I think they've pretty much lost every game since that one. They might have drawn the odd one, but a big 3 points in that one for Cheltenham. Before that, they had a 2-0 win away at Newport County, a brace from Luke Young. He actually scored in this fixture last campaign in the league, a 30-35 yard wonder strike, well worked actually, from a corner routine. Obviously last season we drew 1-1 at their place when we had a number of injuries. I think we had 2 goalkeepers on the bench that day. We only had about 13 or 14 outfielders to select from, and then back at our place we turned them over 3-0 and it was very comfortable. But again, Luke Young did score in that 1-1 draw. Before that one, they had a 1-1 draw away at Cheltenham. They took the lead quite late on in that one in the 87th minute, but their lead would only last 8 minutes as Gillingham would equalise in the 95th minute. A big point really for Gareth Ainsworth's side, and to be fair, given how decent of a start to the season that Gillingham have had, I don't think a point in the grand scheme of things is an awful result for Cheltenham, but obviously conceding so late on will certainly be very gutting for them. Before that one then, they had a 1-0 defeat at home to Bristol Rovers in the EFL Trophy. I mean, we don't really care about the EFL Trophy, so we'll have a look at the match just before that one, where they had a 2-0 win at home to Fleetwood Town. 2 goals inside 3 minutes was enough to get all 3 points against the Cods. And to be honest, they had a really poor start to the season under former Bradford City captain Michael Flynn, but since Steve Cottrell's gone into there, they're a much better side, and they've also got a few of our former players, most notably Lee Angle. Before we do go any further though with today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, can we try and hit 150 likes on today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. What is your score prediction for this match, and what would your starting 11 be as well? In terms of my prediction for this game, I'm going to back Bradford City for a 2-0 away win, similar to the COVID season where they actually went on to win the title. In terms of my team then for this game, I would stick with the 3-4-2-1 formation, and having had 2 big physical outloads against Stevenage and Lincoln, 2 sides are in the top 6 in League 1 at this moment in time. I think our full focus this season has to be on the league, but you still want to do well in these cup competitions, and we've seen some of our maybe on paper fringe players or second string players have gone away to Blackburn and away to Stoke, these type of games, and performed very well. So it's certainly not a disrespectful team that I would send it to Cheltenham, because I think there is still a lot of quality in our side. But in goal for me, I would go with Sam Walker. We've seen Walker obviously starting in the Carabao Cup matches. Now for me personally, I would do Sam Walker in the league, Joe Hilton in the FA Cup, in the EFL Cup, and Zach Hadey in the EFL Trophy. But obviously Alexander likes to go as near to full strength as possible, and I would like to see Sam Walker get the start in this competition. Obviously kept his 3rd clean sheet of the season on Tuesday, and to be fair, didn't really have that much to do. In terms of my back 3 then, at right centre back, firstly I would go with Neil Byrne. The situation with Matt Pennington is a very strange one. He's had a concussion injury for about a month or so now. I've really got no idea what's going on with him, but Neil Byrne, I'd say against Stevenage and Lincoln, was certainly the best of our back 3. Against Rotherham, I thought Neil Byrne is done at League 1 level. I thought he was done at Bradford City, but I think since then he's bounced back and certainly started performing much better over the last couple of games, which is important for him. If he wants to stay in the side, he has to earn it and keep his place in the team, with obviously Pennington having had such a great start to the season. In the middle of my back 3, I would go with Joe Wright. Again, on Tuesday, I thought struggled for the first half an hour, looked quite shaky, a few sloppy sort of passes, all that sort of stuff, but I think certainly grew into the game as it went on. It obviously was a big physical test for our centre-halves, and again, lack of availability really does mean that Joe Wright will keep his place. And finally, completing my back 3 then, at left centre-back, I would go with Kieran Kelly. Now, Graham Alexander came out after Tuesday's game and said that was Kieran Kelly's best game in a Bradford City shirt. Me and Corbin were speaking at half-time, talking about how we thought he'd actually played quite poorly. Second half, I think he did massively improve, but again in the first half, similar to Joe Wright, getting caught out of position on a couple of occasions, really sloppy in possession as well. But second half made a few really important interceptions, and I'd like to see him get another start in this one. Maybe the consistency of him staying in the side, I think, will certainly help develop his game. And again, I could be wrong. Let me know how you saw our back 3 play on Tuesday. Do you think it was a good performance, or where do you think we could have improved as well? In terms of my midfield 4 then, I would make a couple of changes to this team for what we played on Tuesday. Firstly, as my right wing back, I would go with Brad Halliday. Obviously came on off the bench with around 20 minutes or so to go and was miles better than Josh Nerfel. That was comfortably Nerfel's worst performance in a Bradford City shirt. He looked absolutely knackered really after about half an hour and just didn't really do much in the game. Halliday came on, showed a lot of energy down at that right hand side, and I feel like this is the perfect sort of game for Halliday when it's on a much narrower pitch. You're going to need your experienced sort of heads just to grind and get through the game, and Brad Halliday's proved to be the best wing back or full back in League 2 over the last couple of years, so playing up against a League 2 side, why would you not play somebody who performed very well, especially when Nerfel has had a couple of off days recently. In terms of my 2 central midfielders, firstly I would go with the captain Max Power. I feel like whenever he's available, he just will play no matter what. Whether in these type of games that you are making changes, I feel like Max Power will certainly be consistent in the Bradford City side. And I know at full time on Tuesday, obviously he was having a bit of a go at Brad Halliday, and it caused a bit of a debate on social media. I do think that type of reaction for the large part is something that is quite common in football. Normally it's just done in the dressing room and not in front of all the fans, but I think the problem that I had with it is when he started pushing Halliday. Don't think that was particularly great, but again, them having a disagreement when tensions are so high, obviously going to be frustrated having drawn 4 games on the bounce. I certainly didn't think it was a massive issue like what some people were making out, that Power should never play for Bradford City again and he's not a captain, all these sort of things. I think that's exactly what you want to see from your captain, especially when we had Josh Wright not that long ago. Think about how much of a disgrace of a captain he was. Max Power is one of the best ones that we've had in a number of years. Partnering Power in the midfield, I would go with Tommy Lee. Again, I felt like Jensen Metcalfe on Tuesday was brilliant. I thought he had a really good game, but again, that's a big physical outload for him to put a full match performance in against Stevenage, then have to go again against Lincoln City and play again about another 70-75 minutes, something like that. I think that's a lot of football for somebody who's not played that much football so far this campaign, especially when they were not just a lot of football played in such a short period of time. And I know he's a young player, but big physical outloads, the type of games that they were as well. I do think a bit of freshness in here would make the most sense, and it'd be nice to see Tommy Lee hopefully get on the score sheet once again, having obviously missed a pretty decent opportunity late on Tuesday. And finally completing my midfield 4 at left wing back, I would go with Lewis Richards. Again, he proved last season to be a top wing back at League 2 level, so again we're playing against the League 2 side, so why not give him another opportunity. I thought Ibu Toure on Tuesday, to be fair, was quite solid, was one of our better performers in all honesty, but I'd like to see Lewis Richards get a go in this one and hopefully keep building his fitness, because obviously he did miss out of the bench on Tuesday. And then finally then, as my front 3 completing my team, I know recently we've had a couple of the injured players slightly returning, but I don't think it would be wise really to throw any of them in for a start. Firstly, as my right attacking midfielder, I would go with George Lapsley. I felt like he came on off the bench away at Stevenage and had a positive impact, then was left on the bench for the full game against Lincoln on Tuesday when we needed a goal. We just needed somebody to pop up in the box and be in the right place at the right time. And I think that game was crying out for George Lapsley to come on off of the bench. And obviously Alexander, he loves Anthony Sarsfield, and it would take him a lot to bring Sars off for Lapsley, especially when the score is still 0-0. So I think this is the perfect game to give Lapsley some more minutes, and hopefully he can come up with another goal. Scored 2 against them last campaign. As my left attacking midfielder, I would go with Tariq Wright. I felt like he came on off the bench on Tuesday and had a really positive impact, putting some really good crosses into the box. He put one on a plate for Joe Wright really, and he just couldn't decide whether he was going to head it or chest it or knee it or volley it. He couldn't decide what to do. In the end, did a bit of everything and it just bounced wide. But I thought Wright had a really positive impact on Tuesday, having not played particularly well against Stevenage, so I would like to see him get another start. And finally completing my team then, as my striker, I would go with Andy Cook. I know Graham Alexander's very reservant to give Andy Cook a go, but he's been back available for 2 months now. The only way you're going to start building his fitness up is if you start him from the off. It just makes sense. This is the perfect sort of game for him to get an hour, slightly less physical outload as well, with it being against the League 2 side, with all due respect to Cheltenham. The only way Andy Cook is going to build his fitness is if he starts playing. Again, came on at half-time on Tuesday and massively impacted the game in a positive way for Bradford City. Did it against Stevenage, and he's done it in pretty much every appearance that he's had so far this season. Every time he comes onto the pitch, our performance levels raise, and he brings something to this team which nobody else has. That physical outload. He's one of the best headers of a ball in world football for me. I think he's absolutely outstanding of that. So we need to build his fitness, and this is a perfect game for that. And then on the bench then for me, obviously with it being the FA Cup, you do get 9 substitution slots. I would go with Joe Hilton, Josh Nerfill, Tom McIntyre, Ibu Toure, Jensen Metcalfe, Alex Patterson, who should hopefully be back for this one, Callum Kavanagh, Stephen Humphreys should also be back available as well, and also Will Swan, who hasn't scored for nearly 2 months now, which is a little bit of a concern. The players currently unavailable are Aidan Baldwin, Curtis Till, Bobby Poynton and Nick Powell. It sounds like Poynton will be back in full training on Monday, which is great, so he'll hopefully be available for Burton. Curtis Till is also ahead of schedule, and Aidan Baldwin, I think the club are aiming to get him back around the Doncaster sort of game in the AFL Trophy. So that means the players you miss out on through selection will be Zach Hadey and Matt Pennington. Still not 100% sure on the situation with Pennington. He's been out for what feels like 3 years with a concussion protocol. So hopefully everything everything's okay with Matt Pennington because he's had a great start to the season, but obviously we've not heard from him for a while. Does Pennington still exist? But anyway, I'm going to leave it there then for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, can we try and hit 150 likes, as I said at the start of today's video, and don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below your score prediction for this match. What would your starting 11 be as well? Would you agree or disagree with the team that I have suggested? I'm not going on Saturday. I felt like Cheltenham's ticket prices were ridiculous in all honesty. £24 plus your £3 or £4 fees as well. I think personally is ridiculous to go away to a League 2 ground that I've already been to in the first round of the FA Cup. Then you got to pay 40 odd quid for your travel. It's just not a bit of me, is that, in all honesty. But I will be back for the Burton game for a match day vlog. Have a great rest of your day though, and I'll see you very soon for another one.